Hey everybody, it is Joseph Shepard.
And your girl, Miss Laganja Estranja.
And welcome to...
Queenie Out. Okay, not bad. You're a little delayed for me over here too. I'm in Puerto Rico. We're having to connect to the hotspot of the phone. It's a whole thing. So I'd say pretty damn good.
Hey, you know what? We did pretty good, and we are here, and that's all that matters, right?
That's right. This is the podcast where Joseph and I break down each and every episode of Rupaul's Drag Race All-Star 7, of course, in our own unique way.
Now, before we get into the episode, Laganja, you said you're in Puerto Rico right now. How is it? Are you fully traveling? I see that you're back with Work the World. Is that right?
Yes, I'm headed to Work the World tomorrow. I literally will finish tonight around 3 a.m. and then I have to be on a plane headed towards the airport by 4:30. So no sleep tonight, and of course tomorrow when I land in San Antonio, I go right to rehearsal, and then I will be getting ready for the meet and greet and end the show. So it is go, go, go time, but I had a wonderful time here in Puerto Rico. I got to really hang out with my dear friend Queen Bee, who I've known for a long time. We just met in person for the first time at DragCon 2022. So it was really nice to get time to meet her partner and hang out with her here and try lechon and tostones and what was the other thing I had that's very traditional here? It's like a yellow rice cake. I forget the name for it, but it was all very delicious. Very, very delicious.
So what you're saying is that you're traveling so much that you literally are Lady Gaga in club, another club, no sleep, bus, plane. That's what you are.
I definitely am not Lady Gaga just yet, but I can relate to her work ethic and the nonstop of being an entertaintress for sure.
Yeah.
Now, what about yourself? What have you been up to this week?
This week has been kind of just getting, like I said, like it was pre-production for the potential of a new show that I've been working on. So it was logoing and trying to reach out to sponsors and try to get all of this like into a pitch deck and everything. So then that way that, while it's going to happen no matter what, it's always nice when we can get some sponsorships up in here so you don't have to pull everything out of your own pocket,
Yes.
So doing that, I went to the pool earlier this morning, which was nice, and just had like a moment of relaxation, which was a nice zen. And I think that also this week was I know that we've talked a lot about like our mental health and our mental states, but I think that this week was kind of just an eye-opening into, I think that I finally am now getting out of the depression tunnel. And I think for the first time I realized that I was in the depression tunnel and realized, hey, you know what? Like my mom was diagnosed with cancer, and there's all these things that I'd never think that I actually took the moment to just sit with it and to be with it. I started yoga this week. I've just been on this whole nother flow. I worked out 5 days in a row. I just feel like it's like I'm coming back into like the good Joseph, and I feel really good about it.
Yay! Well, you definitely look extra glowy, my love. So congrats to you for getting back on your fitness. I got the green
glow for you.
Yes, if it ain't green, I'm not interested, period. Well, remember, you guys, we love hearing your thoughts and opinions. So we have actually set up an email for all of you, which is laganjos@gmail.com. That's LAGANJOES@gmail.com.
Or you can leave us a voicemail at 323-607-5116, and we may play it back on the show. You never know, we may give you a little call, too.
That's right. Well, I am dying to see what we got this week from our buds and listeners, so let's get into this inbox. Our first message from Paul, and Paul says, so much fun listening to you both. Good luck with your future endeavors. Ooh. I hope that sounds Fifitional?
Fifitional? Is it?
Fifitional?
I don't know what that word means.
And then it says, bye now, Paul. Well, thank you so much, Paul, for wishing us good luck. We would love to know what Fifitional is, so please either send us another email or leave us a comment on either one of our YouTube channels so we can be edumacated with you.
But our next email comes from Maveen. Hello, Laganja and Joseph. Once AS7 ends, please review Canada's Drag Race Season 3. Not sure if either of you watched the first 2 seasons or not, but the queens up north are amazing. Thank you so much for the great content, Maveen. I like that idea. Maybe Laganja and I may talk this over, after this episode, and you never know.
I love it. I love it. Yes, thank you so much, Maveen, for the suggestion. Last week we asked what you guys would like to hear. So if there are any other recommendations on what you'd like us to review next, please let us know. Now we have another email from Mohammed, and this says, "Hey, Laganja and Joseph, I am a big fan of both of you. You are such an inspiration to me and all the LGBTQ plus community. As a gay man living in a homophobic country, it is so lonely. But all I have to do is express my gayness, and I feel like I belong by watching you and all of the drag queens. I am writing this, and I am in tears. Oh, good luck with your journey, Laganja and Joseph. We love Exposed, but we need more music. Love you so much, beautiful friends, Mohammed." Oh, Mohammed, that is so sweet, and I am so sorry to hear that you are living in a country that does not celebrate your greatness and all your fabulosity. I definitely don't know what that's like, but I can relate to you, especially right now in America when rights are being taken away from us left and right. Obviously, we are still legal as of now in America as gay people and as queer people. So again, I can never really relate to what it would be like to be in a homophobic country where potentially it's not even allowed. It's against the law to be yourself. But I just want to say we are here for you. We are so glad that our little podcast can bring you love and help you understand and know that you are accepted. Maybe not where you are currently living, but there are other places where you are just enough.
Exactly. And know that we hear you. We are there with you. If you ever need anything, our inbox is open as well. We'll gladly give you any type of advice or any type of help. The biggest thing, especially if you are somewhere that doesn't accept who you are, is just finding people who will accept you, because that will make you become a bigger and better person, and you'll be able to thrive. When you say we need more music, I actually was going to ask Laganja later after this episode was done if she wanted to collaborate with me on a song. So you know what? Laganja and I will talk this over afterwards. Maybe we will put out a song.
Oh yes, I definitely think it's time for a feature-rama, honey.
a feature-rama. You want to get this next email, Laganja?
Absolutely. It says, "Hey, Laganja and Joseph, thank you for the entertainment every week. Love you both so, so much. I hope the following isn't too off-topic / serious for the pod. I am a 21-year-old in Los Angeles who was assigned male at birth, but despite living in a liberal city, I was raised in a toxic environment where I had to conceal my femininity. I struggle with addiction and impulsivity, but with the help of a therapist, I have recently come to the realization that I am a trans woman and that my struggles stem from denying my transness. Now I'm thinking of joining a trans support group and going from there. So my question is, Laganja, what advice do you have for your younger self who just started realizing that they're trans? And how has your life changed after transitioning? Sincerely, Lost in Transit." Oh. P.S. In the future, Season 6 recap with interview each episode from a Season 6 contestant would be sickening. P.P.S. Joseph, your advice about slowing down and taking time to think about how you're feeling, why you're feeling that way, really resonated with me. Wow, well, what a sweet email. I just want to say to you, my best advice to my younger self would have been or would be to just believe and to stop denying. I think for me, I knew my truth for a very long time, but because I too grew up in a place like Texas where A, there wasn't really education on what being trans was, and B, it definitely wasn't encouraged to be a feminine man, I lied to myself and I suppressed my real true feelings. So I would say maybe as hard as it is, acceptance is key. Accepting your truth, accepting that you are different, accepting that, you have something within you that a lot of people may not be able to relate to is okay, because there are a lot of other people out there like myself who can relate and who will relate. So congratulations to you on getting in therapy. I think that's an incredible step. My life has changed drastically since transitioning. I feel like I have found so much more peace just in my daily life. There are definitely still a lot of rocky moments. In fact, on the way here to Puerto Rico, you know, I had a female custodian in the restroom ask me and say, like, "Aren't you a man?" And it was very hard. You know, I totally cried in the stall about it. So I don't want to sugarcoat things. It definitely is difficult to be trans, but I believe anything in life that's worth it is sometimes, well, is always difficult. And it's up to you to find the positive and to work on your reaction. So I just want to say best of luck in your journey. Lost in Transit really made me like almost cry. So I hope that you can find that there's beauty in the breakdown and that being lost is a-okay, because eventually you will find yourself and you will be so much stronger for that.
I agree with that. I think that was really good advice. To Lost in Transit, I will say to you that coming into your own and realizing who you are as an individual will set you up for so much success. It may seem like the hardest thing during these moments, but like you said, you're going to a support group. And I think that if you are thinking about going into a support group, totally do it, because then those people around you will uplift you. It will make you feel more of who you are. And it's always harder to do things alone. And you don't ever want to do things alone. You need the groups around you. You need people around you. And you just need your supporters. So do that. And I think that you too are going to like branch out. And you soon will start seeing a totally different side of you. And you'll start to respect yourself as an individual even more.
Absolutely, Joseph. I think one of the best things about being queer is that we get to have chosen family. And I think a great way to find those family members is at a support group. So best of luck to you, Lost in Transit. Best of luck to you, Lost in Transit. We are sending you all of our love and a big hug via the pod. Now, when we get back, we are going to take a deep dive into this week's episode of RuPaul's Drag Race All Stars 7. So stay tuned.
We are back. It's queening out. No, we are back in the workroom. And Ru says it's time to pop some balloons in between a pit crew member's ass to see what placement you were going to get in the Kennedy Davenport Hall of Shade Roast Speech Extravaganza.
Yes, because this week's challenge is to create a roast for this Kennedy Davenport Hall of Shade Roast Speech Extravaganza, which I swear to God, these titles, they just get longer and weirder.
So, when I was watching this and watching them all, like, popping these balloons, okay, did you find it odd that, of course, the first and the last balloon just so happened to be for first or the last two balloons ended up being for the first position and the last position of the roast? Like, I was like, really? Really? There's always the who's first and who's last, and then I was like, did you, like, tape these balloons to the bottom so the girls, like, when they were pulling them out, like, couldn't pick those particular two? I just thought it was a little odd.
You're surprised by producing on RuPaul's Drag Race? No, it didn't surprise me in the least bit. It seemed like we were making a TV show. Yeah.
Yes. Making a TV show. Do you think that it matters what position you go in a roast?
I do, absolutely. Yeah, I definitely do. I think, you know, opening and closing are obviously two of the hardest positions, but, you know, going after someone who's really good at roasting can really make your maybe not as good set stand out even more.
So if you had to be placed, where would you want to be placed in the roast lineup? First,
somewhere,
middle, end, in between?
Somewhere in the middle, girl. Just put me in the middle. I don't need to stand out anywhere. Put me after someone who's not as good.
Really? I think in me, like, I'm like, I would love to be first. I think, like, first and get it out of the way, because then, like, you don't have the potential of somebody going in front of you and being so good that you get forgotten about. And then also you have the ability to be like, you go first, and then if you are really good, great and wonderful. But also if you're bad, like, people will be like, oh, you kind of went first. That's what I think in my head. I'm like,
Well, the good news about going first is you definitely get to not worry for the rest of the roast, right? Because I definitely, if I was in the middle, would be sitting there worried until my turn. So it's like you kind of rip the Band-Aid off, which is nice.
Raja had out a thesaurus and stuff, so then I was thinking, like, do you get any access to the internet at all or any type of help? Or is it just literally you're just writing?
Yeah, no access to internet while you're on summer camp, as we like to call it. But you definitely do get help from the guest judges. And then there are also writers on the show who you never see who will work with you. So like John Pauly was one of the writers on my season. So I worked with him on my roast after working with the special guest. So they definitely do provide help, and they do provide, you know, some critiques as we see on the show. But a lot of it is coming from your own brain. And I agree with you. I think it's really hard to write roasts. And I thought this roast was really great. I thought there was a lot of punchlines, a lot of jokes. And I was very impressed with, you know, how the girls were able to make it funny, but make it lighthearted. I don't really think anyone was that mean. I mean, I know they accused Raja of being pretty cutthroat, but I really thought all the jokes were very, like, tongue-in-cheek and had a really good sense of sportsmanship with them. So I appreciated that.
Yes, and I absolutely... I loved that Wintergreen came out. Now, Wintergreen was Peppermint's makeover for season 9, and he is Sarge, who is a cameraman on the show. And the glow-up from Peppermint season to now... I just thought it was so comical, so good, like a very good tie back to something in the previous seasons. And actually, I thought that Wintergreen came off as like a very seasoned drag queen for a moment. I was like, you could have tricked me. Like, I could have easily believed that this was a drag queen who's been doing this for like 10, 15 years.
Well, you know my stoner ass. I was like, who is Wintergreen? And then they showed the flashback, and I was like, oh, right. I mean, girl, there's just been so many seasons, so many franchises I've reviewed with, you know, Yuha, all these different franchises. So I was just like, now which one is this? But when they explained and showed the flashback, I was like, oh, yes, of course. And I agree with you. She did amazing, especially, you know, opening up the night, kicking it off. Mm-hmm. She definitely had a great energy to her, and she looked beautiful.
Yeah, and I love, too, that seeing somebody who is an ally, who's straight and married, like, actually just get into the groove of it and be like, you know, I'm here for it, and I'm loving it, and I'm supporting you guys. Like, that it means a lot, especially, like, you know, in our community, to see somebody who's straight and being okay to dibble and dabble in it.
Absolutely. That's real allyship, so we love to see it.
So first up, we had Miss Raja, and she gave her little roast. I actually was disappointed that she didn't use one of her jokes that she used in the preparation when she was like, before today, you know, I had to roll a fat blunt. That's what we call it when we push Jinx into, like, the workroom. I was laughing. I thought it was a very mean joke, but I thought it was very comical. Another thing that she said that I loved was Monet just moved to Hollywood, but her hairline's in Reseda. I thought that was hilarious. I was like,
iconic.
You're getting the good jokes.
Yeah, no, I definitely thought Raja did really well. I thought she was a great opener. Again, as I was saying, the judges said she was mean, but I didn't really find her mean. I thought it was all very funny and good spirit. I thought she, you know, looked great. I loved the slick back hair. And I thought she came off really, really funny. Yeah, I was kind of super impressed with her. I wasn't expecting her to succeed in this sort of comedy challenge, but I think she nailed it.
Yeah, I agree with you there. Next up, we had Evie Audley. What did you think about Miss Evie's look, first of all?
Well, it's not my favorite look. I know we're not wearing or tearing it right now, but if I had to, it would be a tear it for me. You know, I do love the wig that she's wearing. I have one myself in a soft pink. They're great wigs. I just think they're not RuPaul's Drag Race ready. I think those are, you know, working wigs, working women on Wednesdays at Hamburger Mary's wigs, and not really international television quality. So that was definitely irking me. But, you know, this wasn't a look challenge. This was, you know, a comedy challenge. And I think she did a great job. You know, the judges commented on her being kind of cool and playing it easy. And I think that really worked well for her. I think that that is her humor. That is her personality. I think she played towards her strengths. And I thought it was really funny. You know, I loved the line about Jinx and the plastic surgery and giving the audience a moment to look for it. I thought that was great. And yeah, I really thought she also nailed this.
I agree with you. I thought it was hilarious when she said, like, you said she talked about Jinx's plastic surgery, and then she said, you know, she did get her hairline done, and she thought to herself, yeah, that's the problem. I was like, spot on. You're using an impression. Good. Yeah, she hit it out of the park for me. She was really good.
Absolutely. I definitely loved the impression too. That was hysterical. And I think because she was playing it so chill, when she did an impression like that, it really stood out because it was a more heightened energy. Up next, we had Miss Shea Coulee, who, of course, looked flawless. I loved the outfit. I thought she looked really amazing and powerful. Now, unfortunately, I felt a little bit like I did last week with her TikTok challenge when she was introducing the beginning of the challenge. I felt like she kind of put on this persona, and I understand this because I do this a lot when I get in front of a camera. My nerves get the best of me, and so I start kind of doing more than what I normally do, and I already do so much that I don't really need to do that. And I feel the same with her, and it kind of just took away from me from her performance because I felt her being so performative as opposed to just sitting into the joke and letting it find its own sort of pocket and manifestation. So that for me was a little off-putting. Like I said, she got better as she went on. I felt like she relaxed into the material, but when she first started, it was coming off forced and fake to me. So it was hard to laugh at the jokes because I was just uncomfortable with her delivery. But I do think she had some great one-liners. I do think she did a pretty good job, but definitely not my favorite of the night.
Yeah, I think for me, it's the tone of how Shea says things because it comes off to me sometimes like it is overacting. Like the skinny little bitch jokes that she was doing with Jada, I believe would have been better if it was like, Jada Essence Hall is such a skinny little bitch, blah, 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 blah. But what she did is, Jada Essence Hall is a skinny little bitch. And it was just like, it took away from the actual funniness that joke could have been. So I feel you on that part, and I think that it does translate into many other challenges, even like acting challenges and stuff. It's like, who is Shea's persona if she were to be presenting like at an award show? Because I do the same thing like you just said. Like, you know, if I'm on camera, it's, hey, everybody, how you doing? But then you got to like sometimes just strap that away and let yourself play.
Absolutely, I agree. And, you know, I loved the skinny little bitch jokes because they were positive. They weren't really mean. And I thought that was a great format. But you just nailed it on the head, even with your impression. It was in her tonality and her inflections that we just lost her a bit, you know? So I definitely agree with what you just said, for sure, 100%.
Well, next up we had Jinx Monsoon. I was laughing at many of Jinx's jokes. I thought she had a very good aura about her. She knew how to hit the punchlines correctly. I don't know why. I thought that the Rupaul is such a kinky bitch that he's edging Shangela for 11 years. I was dying. I was like, it's smart. It went there. And I know that they probably cut out a lot of the girls' jokes, but I feel like Jinx was one of the only ones who went for the judges. I didn't feel like a lot of the other girls, I don't really know if any of the other girls really went for the judges. So it felt more of like an actually encompassed full, middle, and end of a roast. Whereas I felt, which is probably because of editing, I felt like the others were just doing towards the women on the panel, you know?
Totally. I agree. I definitely do think things were edited, even in my, comedy roast challenge, that was so edited. It was so much longer, which I'm just imagine, me up there floundering even longer. But yeah, no, Jinx was a true professional, truly hysterical, such a great wit about her, so smart in her humor. And I think her delivery was spot on. She's very comfortable being herself up there, and no matter what the challenge is. I think for me, RuPaul laughing so loud and hysterically every other second was really distracting. She did the same thing to me when I was on Skin Wars, and it's like, I just don't get that. I'm like, okay, like, now you're performing, sir? Like, is it because she's so funny and you need cameras to be back on you that you're doing that? Or, like, what's the tea there, Ma? It's funny, but it's not, like, that funny, girl. So that was distracting me, honestly, as a viewer, as far as editing goes. But I definitely think Jinx is just a true professional and continues to show herself time and time again that she is a legendary legend.
Is RuPaul's laugh actually that, or is that a heightened version of his laugh? I've always wondered that.
I think it's a heightened version. I just don't think there's any way that can be true to form. And I just think it's gotten bigger and bigger over the years. But, I mean, hey, if that is her real laugh, props to her. It just, it's like Evie's laugh, It's just so intense. And you know it immediately when you hear it, But I think for me, at least in that particular example, Evie's comes off more genuine. And I think it's also sort of like a tick of hers. Whereas I think RuPaul's is a choice.
Yes, I think that we should take your roast and put all of those RuPaul laughs from this episode in it. So then, or your comedy challenge, sorry. So then that way, it would be, it would be,
well, we
giving you the love you deserve.
Definitely have to give some love to our incredible listener who sent us that hysterical recreation of my slow reading or my down reading of my comedy challenge. That was so funny. I died.
I was like, oh my gosh. I was like, I didn't even expect it. I opened that email and a listener ended up sending us a graphic put together image from your dramatic reading. And they said that they're going to do the rest of it. So I cannot wait to see it all put together.
Oh my gosh, yes. If you want to see what we are talking about, definitely head on over to Joseph's Twitter. We did our very first ever collab tweet and put it out. So definitely check it out. And thank you again to our listener that created that. So funny. So funny. Well, so up next, we have Trinity the Tuck. And I actually thought she was hysterical. I think, she found a good rhythm with her jokes. And I think she also went for the jugular on several people, which was really funny and entertaining to see. And, of course, she looked gorgeous. She was wearing hair by my dear sister Carbon Cavalli in Orlando, Florida. So want to give her a little shout out for making such a gorgeous piece of hair. I'm actually going to be wearing her hair later tonight myself. So we love to see dolls supporting dolls, especially on Drag Race.
Do you think that, because when I was watching this, and that in the first of the episode, Jinx was like, I'll help you with your jokes if you need help, Trinity. And then after Trinity went after Jinx, I was wondering, I was like, some of these jokes seem very Jinxy. So I was like, I could see where some of this played in.
Definitely. I definitely think she got help for sure. But I definitely think she nailed it. And I think at the end of the day,
she nailed it.
That's what this is about. It's not about who wrote it. It's about how you deliver it.
What did you think about Miss Monet Exchange?
I thought she had a lot to live up to, being the daughter of Bob the Drag Queen, who is so hysterical. And I think she really did. I thought she was very funny. I can't say that any of her jokes right now are sticking in my head. So maybe not the most memorable. But I do remember laughing while watching her and thinking she was very funny, and that the way she projected sort of the smile as she was reading everyone was really well done. And I, of course, loved the look. Now, this is how you do short hair to me. I thought this was a really cool, sophisticated 1920s take, and I loved it.
Yes. I love the look. I thought she did good, but like you said, I don't remember any jokes that she said. I just remember laughing at the moment. So for me, she kind of got lost in the middle of the barrel because nothing was like so stand out. But at the end of the day, she did a great job. So it's not that she was bad. It was just that some other people had some more punchers in there and some more kickers, and they got it. So good job, Monet. You did what you did, but it wasn't, legendary legend.
Not for us, at least. Up next, we had Miss Jada Essence Hall. And God bless her, she really probably did the worst. I do think we have to give her some brownie points for knowing she was bombing and making fun of herself in the moment. I think the judges love to see that. They love to see the realness and, kind of thinking on the fly and using that moment to make another joke, which she did really well. But you could definitely tell she was flustered, and I don't think her jokes were that particularly funny or shady.
Same. And my heart sank further and further even when she tried to recover. I have been in that headspace before when you try to recover for something, but you still can't get over your words. So she was like, and that joke was bad, just like this motherfucking joke that dude right now. And I was like, you're trying to like get your head and your mind on the same playing field, and it was just not there. I felt so bad. But like you said, she came back, and at least she didn't like just take the moment and walk off stage or, just completely bomb. She knew she was bombing, and she bombed with it, which I think made it even better. And knowing too that you're not going to be eliminated, I mean, it adds a little bit of a, hey, just keep going. So
definitely, she may have swam against current, but she definitely got to the lifeboat. So she got through it.
Yeah,
she looked gorgeous. She's got such a sweet, cute personality that I thought, it was okay. And thank God this isn't a season where you get eliminated, because if so, I definitely think she would have been on the chopping block.
Well, last we ended up having the Vivian. The Vivian, for me, also fell in the same wheelhouse as a Monet. I felt like it was kind of middle of the barrel, not too amazing or not too great. There were, like you said, I still can't really remember any jokes from her. So to me, it wasn't a standout, but, she did good, and she was funny, so.
Well, I can't remember any particular jokes either, but I do think she did better than Monet. I definitely really liked her.
Yes.
I definitely really liked her, and I definitely have really grown to appreciate her this season. She's, I didn't watch her season, so I don't know her that well, but I think she's really, shown that the UK is not to be messed with, and that she is a true winner. And I thought, she was really funny, and I loved that she, made fun of herself in this. I think that that's key to a roast. I think, when you can make fun of yourself, then it's clear that this is in a joking atmosphere and that we're all in on the joke. And so I thought that was really good that she was able to play on herself and her weaknesses before destroying the others.
Agreed. Well, that was the Kennedy Davenport Center of Honors Roast Extravaganza phenomenon. We're going to take a break, and we're going to get back into these beautiful, glowing up runway looks.
All right, we are back again, and it is time to work it on the runway. Now, this week's themes was all glowed up, or as I like to say, glued up, which is when you are growing and glowing, you're glued up. And this week, we had some really amazing light up looks. So let's get started. First up, we had Miss Raja giving you a 3D printed cage with laser beams. She's also got, fully Swarovski crystals all over these cages. She's got these shoes that are also cages. I mean, I thought this look was an absolute wear it. I do feel like you couldn't see it as well on the show as you could on Instagram. So I'm really glad that I got to see it on Instagram first before watching the episode, because I really got to get into the detail of the look. And that was one thing I was a little disappointed with this challenge. I wish they would have kept the lights on longer and then turned them off so that we could really have seen each look. This one in particular, I felt like we just saw it in the dark almost the whole time. So it was really hard to tell all the work that went into it. But it was a fabulous look. I loved it. I would absolutely wear it from head to toe. I really liked that she kept a good editing eye on this. She didn't add too much as she has in some of these last challenges. she kept it really simplistic and let the lasers do the walking and talking.
This was probably one of my least favorite looks for a lot of the reasons that you said. I think that the biggest issue for me was, yes, you really could not see the lasers because they were just on the side of her. So when it literally was dark, there was nothing necessarily coming from the front to illuminate her or illuminate her body. It was just on the sides. And then when your hands are down by your sides too, the laser beams are not going to fully expand out. So any of the shots too that they used of the laser beams, it was very zoomed in. It was very, like, you could tell that they were trying to showcase what they were. So I would have loved to have seen this in person there, because I feel like that experience would be something totally different, but it was not captured well on screen, and I think that that's where it fell flat. So for me, it would have been a tear it.
Wow, okay, well, definitely go check out her Instagram where you can get in on the details. It's a sickening look.
I will.
Okay, up next to the runway, we have Miss Evie Audley, and she is serving us, you know, a mushroom Alice in Wonderland Pharisee? Wow, what's that word? Fantasy fairy tale. And I absolutely love this look. It is a total wear it for me. I thought the color choice was gorgeous. It totally took me on a wild trip. It was so imaginative. It was so her, you know, obviously being that it was a fungus, something that we would see, you know, maybe not as beautiful in the way she spun it. So beautiful. I loved the glowing pieces up in her hair. And again, when they turned the lights on, the look still looked really good without the glowing element. So I think she totally nailed it. It was a wear it for me.
I agree with you 100% aware it. I absolutely loved it. The colors were breathtaking, the way that it was assembled, and that even when she like came down the runway before the lights were on, I didn't necessarily know that it was going to be mushrooms. I just thought it was a really cool textured dress, but once the lights hit, I was blown away. This was probably in my top 2 of the favorites of the night. Absolutely loved it. She killed it, and it was very nice also seeing like an elevation of Evie's drag even over these past few weeks. You know, she started out and some things were a little questionable, but now it's like, oh, this is amazing. Loved it.
Absolutely. Well, up next to the runway, we have Miss Shea Coulee wearing, yet again, her gold necklace. I was gagged. I really was. I was like, what is going on? How have none of the girls, like, made this a running joke? Like, we've got to let this necklace go, Shea, okay? But I loved the look. I thought it was really cute and creative. It kind of reminded me of her gold tooth fairy vibe. I don't know why. Maybe the color choice, maybe the makeup, but it kind of had a similar vibe to that. But I really liked this look, whereas that look I was not as in love. I thought it was beautiful. I loved the way that it all lit up, and I loved, again, the way it looked without the lights or without the darkness on it. So it's a wear it for me.
I also loved it. I thought that it was great. My only issue is that, which we're going to get into with a few of these other girls' looks, is that I think that there were a few looks that looked a little cheapened to me. And I think that the word, when I'm saying cheapened, I mean by how the lights are reflecting or how they're doing. So when her lights were kind of like going on and off above head, I think that it took away from the illusion of being a very beautiful sunflower, and it made it very Vegas Strip. And so I would have rather have had it just all glowing the whole way as opposed to like lighting up on time. But I thought that it was gorgeous. I thought that she looked good in it, especially out of light and in light. Total wear it.
Yeah, I definitely understand with what you're saying. In fact, I always think light up outfits are cheap looking for some reason. It's not really a gag that I typically like because, I don't know, I just think it does cheapen looks sometimes. And it does look very like Vegas, which to me is sometimes cheap. So I definitely hear what you're saying there, and I definitely saw that on other girls' looks. But I do think this was executed well, and because it was like in the shape of the flower, I think it worked. I really do.
Next up, we had Jinx Monsoon. I didn't know what to expect, you know, and I was laughing. I thought that it was a great theatrical take on this, being a witch and being burned at the stake and the red, you know, coming up, and then her hysterical laugh like she was a witch doing it. I love this. It would have been a wear it for me. What do you think, Miss Laganja?
I think for me it's a tear it. I do like the concept a lot, but it was just like a big dress with lights underneath it to create a flame. I don't know. I felt like it needed a reveal. I felt like if she had taken that off and then like the flames would have been moving on some mech. I don't know. It just needed another gag to me. It fell a little short for me. I do think it looked cool. Again, really love her concept, but it isn't something I personally would wear. I just thought it kind of swallowed her, and it was like a wedding dress, like in the light. It was all white. Like, I don't know. It just missed the mark for me. Up next, we have Miss Trinity the Tuck, who I think is definitely suffering from what you were saying about Shay's look, where the lights kind of looked cheaper. I do think that this was a really creative idea and silhouette, so I love the traditional back piece, which was definitely giving us Vegas, and I liked the high to low styling of the skirt, but it just, I don't know, I didn't love it. I didn't think it looked expensive. I thought it looked more like a rave outfit as opposed to fashion. So for me, it was a tear it.
I thought she looked like a shrimp or a lobster. That's what I got from this. I don't know why. And I kept thinking about those people that are at like amusement parks or Disneyland that are selling those light up toys for the kids. This is what it looks like. It was one of my least favorites of the night. I think that the back of it really cheapened it. I think that if that back portion would have been all one color or all connected, I think it's just the loops just made it look very cheap. So yeah, a tear it for me.
And meanwhile, you know, this outfit was so expensive. I mean, all these girls having to get lights added to their outfit. It's just so expensive, which is why it's like so bad we're calling it cheap. But remember, these are just our opinions. Does not make it fact. Well, up next to the runway, which, by the way, with the photo we're looking at right now, you can't even see her face, so it's a good thing I know this outfit, is Monet Exchange, and she was giving you a celestial vibe, a sort of night sky, if you will. What are those things called in the sky? Oh, constellations. She was giving us constellation cunt. I liked it. I didn't hate it. I didn't love it. I think it fell in the middle. Again, I saw it on Instagram, and it's drop dead gorgeous up close. So many details, beautiful colors, the way it's painted. It really does look like a night sky. But as far as the light element goes, I think it was on the weaker side in comparisons to others. But it's not a tear it for me. I would wear the outfit. I do think it's beautiful. So it is still a wear it, but definitely not one of my favorites.
I have to disagree with you. I hated this. This was probably the one that I was not a fan of. I feel like the glowing and the lights were an afterthought. This was a very signature Monet dress. She does a lot of the same shape where it's, you know, I don't know what you call that, where it tufts out on one side and then it kind of wraps around. And then it just felt like she took, one shoulder, there you go. It just feels like she took some twinkle lights and just put it under the fabric. It didn't necessarily go with anything to me. And then the lights that were in her hair didn't even necessarily match the other lights. It just was not a wear it for me. I understand where she was trying to go with the constellation pieces, but it just wasn't there.
Well, again, check it out on Instagram. It's really beautiful up close, just saying. But I hear you. It definitely was an afterthought. So, yeah, I agree. It is a tear it. I didn't want to say it, but you're right. It's a tear it. I agree. It's a tear it. It's a tear it.
Next up, we had Jada Essence Hall in a mermaid dress gown situation with a blue wave around her hair. I believe that this was another look that I thought that it looked beautiful without the lights. I think that she looked great, but I think that the light up portion that was on her mermaid tail really cheapened the look. I think that it's just a thing with those lights. The certain lights just do not do well on outfits, and I think that that's what it is.
Yeah, I really did not like this look. I mean, I feel like I haven't given Jada one tarot, like, this whole season. But this is a tarot for me. I thought the concept was really cool. I loved the idea of a tail, you know, being on the dress and how the dress hid her feet so she could kind of create this mermaid illusion. So conceptually, I really liked it. But even with the lights on for me, I just didn't like it. I didn't think it looked good. I thought the hair was, like, too much. It looked like it was, like, kind of weighing her down, like it was going to fall off. The way the pink was zigzagged across the tail, yikes. It just didn't even look like scales or anything mermaid-esque. And I thought, like, this was one where little lights like, you know, Monet had used in her dress would have looked better because it would have looked more like a mermaid, whereas this clearly was just, like, lights zigzagged back and forth on the tail. So, yeah, it was a tarot for me. Not my favorite look of hers ever. So sorry about it, but definitely cool concept. And again, props to all these ladies for creating these looks that we're tearing apart, because I know these were really expensive to have made.
And last we had the Vivian in another look that I was not fond of. I will say I love the wings in the way of how they fully looked like they were flowing. I love the flow of the wings. But the colors and everything, if you're going to do wings and you're going to do an angel, you're going to have to be, in my opinion, a little bit different than what Courtney Act put on the show already. And Courtney Act, when she did it, she also was wearing kind of like a one piece, and that's exactly what the Viv was wearing. So I was thinking in my head, if she would have done something different to where it wasn't just a one piece, a dress, something else to be able to make it, like, even if there was a dress with feathers, I don't necessarily know, but I think that it didn't hit the mark for me, so it was a tarot.
I agree. I actually like the bodysuit. I think the bodysuit is great. It's not the most unique thing we've seen, but I do think it was great shapes, and the lights that were on the bodysuit looked really expensive to me. But I agree 100%. If you're going to do wings on the runway, they have to be better than Courtney Act's, and hers were so freaking amazing that I'm just like, yeah, you probably should leave that alone. So it looked like a rave wing thing that you would see. Yeah. So that to me is a no-go. So yeah, it's a tarot.
It's a tarot. Well, Ms. Laganja, you're about to have to go and perform. So as we close out this episode, we had our top two of Jinx Monsoon and Trinity the Tuck. Did we agree or disagree?
I think I agreed. Yeah, I think Jinx definitely turned it, although the look for me was weaker. I mean, same with really Trinity. I mean, not my favorite look either, but she did do great in the comedy challenge. I'm trying to think, was there any... You know, I really liked Raja this week. I thought Raja was really a standout in the comedy challenge, and I really liked her look. So I definitely could have seen her in the top, even though she had been blocked. Anyone else that I would have rooted for? I think no. So yeah, I'd say I agree for the most part.
Yeah, and they lip sync to Kings and Queens by Ava Max. Jinx ends up winning. She wins $10,000, but she can't block anybody anymore because blocking is now done. So we have Jinx with 4 stars. Trinity and Jada have 3. Monet, Vivian, Raja, and Evie have 2, and Shay has 1. So basically that means Jinx is in the final, and the rest is up to them. So, ooh, see what happens. Definitely getting spicy here. I really wanted Shay to win a star this week. I was really rooting for her. I definitely think she had such a strong runway, but unfortunately I don't think she was able to come through with that comedy challenge. So I'm just shocked at that. As you remember, I picked her in the very beginning to be in the top 4. Yeah. So it definitely makes me sad for her, but you just never know what's going to happen on this next episode. So I'm excited to see where the stars fall and how they align. Exactly. And what you missed in Untucked? Here we go. Ronan Farrow, he fans out with the girls. I actually was surprised by this. his gay came out. I'm so used to the journalist who put out the Me Too movement and helped push all that. And for him to start talking about, he was talking about housewives and like all of these different types of shows. And I was like, okay, he's a fellow gay. I see it. Wintergreen sat down from behind the camera and talked to the girls a little bit. They pulled out the pink furry box and they did 2 truths and a lie, to which Monet's truth was that she fucked somebody on this cast, but they didn't say who it was. Do you have any assumptions?
Maybe Evie, because she has a big dick?
That's what I was thinking.
Wow, that's
two that
crazy. I know Monet, and, well, maybe I shouldn't say, never mind. I know someone else she's hooked up with from Drag Race, that's for sure.
The ones that were blushing the most were Evie and Raja. So I was looking at both of them the whole time. They were very not speaking about it, so I was like, probably one of them.
Wow, that's a fun one.
It's a fun one. Oh, you can read the green.
Okay. Well, all right, you guys, thank you so much for listening to today's episode of Queening Out with me, your girl, Miss Laganja Estranja, and of course, my fabulous co-host, Joseph Shepard. We have new shows every Tuesday.
So make sure to subscribe to our show, and you can rate us and review us on your favorite podcast app. So go head over there and show us some love.
Also, be sure to send us an email at laganjos@gmail.com, and we might just read it on our show next week.
And if you have any burning questions for Laganja or I, or even about Drag Race, call and leave us a message at 323-607-5116, and we may play it on the show.
Don't forget to follow us on social media at Laganja Estranja and at Joseph A. Shepard on all of the socials.
Thanks so much for listening to Queening Out, and we will queen out with you next week. Bye, guys.
Bye. Mwah.